Can you buy a property before auction? The tips and tricks coming right up. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Well. Friday Frenzy.
Friday
Here we
Frenzy. How are you today, Lee?
Yeah, good. Good. Nice dinner last night down at Hugo's in Manly. I must say it is one of my favourite places to go. Love it down there.
They never get it wrong.
Oh, it's great. You know what? The service is great. The food's great. The atmosphere is great.
Yep.
It is definitely one of my favourite places. That's for sure.
One of the last warm nights I reckon we're going to have.
Yeah, it was a beauty.
It was a nice night.
It was a beauty.
warm, but it was bearable.
So buying a property before auction, guys, can you do it? We're going to give you guys some little tips. And let's start off, first of all, with a property yesterday, Mark, that I sold in Burke Street, Surrey Hills.
Well, first of all, congratulations for Saturday, where we had probably the best auction I've ever attended in my life of 30 years of a real estate agent.
No, I reckon. It was one of them. Riddell Street in Manly, I think, goes down as the all-time favourite.
That was brewing. That was sort of like, yeah, she's going to be a cracker. But this one was really unexpected, and it was unexpected. It definitely benchmarked the suburb. And I love when there's a great sale in the area. It's not about us or how over the reserve or how much. It's all about benchmarking that suburb. And when you see a sale happen like that, it's like that's the new standard for the area. Loved it. 3 better. Not that that's a standard price, but it pushes up the whole standard.
Well, it really did. I have to say, I've had a lot of calls from 3-bedroom owners in DY, 3-bedroom apartment owners in DY. Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about, it was an auction that we held last Saturday, 3 at 29 Hawkesbury Avenue in DY. It was a unicorn. I called it the unicorn 3-better. And it really was. It was a block of 4 in a really good position. It had no view. And I've had a lot of people saying, but you must have known it was going to go for that amount of money. No one knew. I mean, even everyone was surprised, including the auctioneer.
Oh, he was just absolutely.
And I was trying to remain very poker faced during the auction. But, we had been guiding 1.35 million. Now, this was an original 3-bedroom apartment, guys. It's not like it had been renovated. It was oversized.
Yeah.
But, we have a lot of oversized 3-bedders in DY that sell. You've got one going to auction on Saturday, Mark, in the Meriton complex in DY.
Pretty exciting.
This was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car. So somewhat unusual, but it's not the only 3-bedroom apartment with 2 car spaces. No views and original. Immaculate, but original. So why did it go for 1.92 million? As I said, it was an absolute record-breaking price for DY for an apartment with no views. But let's talk about the auction strategy on that one, Mark.
Imagine trying to buy that before auction. You'd feel pretty stupid if you bought it for 1.7, 1.8, 1.85. But you definitely don't feel like that when you can see a room full of people bidding actively. So it does something for people's. You've really got to go out on the edge of a cliff, and which we talked about last week, and you've really got to push yourself to pay an unprecedented amount if you know it's definitely the one. But it would have been hard to see someone offer. It would have been like just crazy, and they would have felt alone.
But there's a big element of the agent reading the play, and also we always have to go off a vendor's instruction. So that vendor wanted to take the property to auction. My advice to my vendor was we have to take the property to auction. We were getting really, really good group numbers coming through. I was getting circa 30 to 40 plus groups coming through every single open. And bear in mind, guys, we were running about 3 to 4 opens a week. Now, not every single buyer was walking in saying, I've got to have it, I've got to have it. We definitely had a decent level of interest there. Were we expecting 18 registered bidders? No. Were people coming along to see if the apartment was going to sell for cheap? Yes. Did I know that I had some good, strong contenders? Yes. Did I have my finger on the pulse during the whole campaign? Absolutely. And so that would have been but obviously my vendor's instruction was to take the property to auction. But even if that was not the instruction, that property had to go to auction. It was a unique apartment in the area. Again, a block of 4, very rare for the DY area to have a block of 4 apartments. But it had no view, and it had and it was original. It had a reserve across the road, which some people like and others don't. It had stairs and no lift. So,
No lift killed 50% of that the buyers on the
Yeah.
property, because but if you've got a bit of cash and you're a bit old, you don't want to do stairs, you want a lift.
Correct.
Okay, so using that property, and call me super balls for today's exercise.
Okay,
You want to do that?
sure.
Go.
Can we bring up just some comments as well? I don't know if they're there or if we're missing any.
Sure.
Okay,
Call me super balls.
Super Balls.
Okay, Super Balls comes along and says on the Thursday before, I would like to buy the property for 1.7. Do you reckon Super Balls could have got it? Sorry,
So again,
can I turn up the stakes even more? 1.8. Super Balls comes along and says 1.8. There's a signed contract, there's a check, there's a 66W, and you present it to the owner. In that case, what would happen?
for that particular property?
Yeah.
Okay, you asking me as an agent?
Yeah, Super
All
Balls
right.
comes along,
So
there's contract, there's a check,
there's
1.8.
absolutely no doubt that that would have appeared to have been phenomenal money for the property. And as agents, we must present every offer to our vendors. It's not our property, it's a vendor's property that we're representing. Now, given the fact that I had a decent level of interest on the property, my recommendation still would have been take the property to auction, because there are a number of buyers there that have indicated that they would come along. Look, with these very rare properties, these extreme, what I call the unicorn properties, it's hard to understand where they could go. And 3 at 29 Hawkesbury Avenue, the big 3-bedder we're talking about, and 2 Riddell Street in Manly, that absolutely, we called it the Godfather, that house that sat over the Surf Life Saving Club in Manly, that we sold for $21.5 million. These are unicorn properties. They could go anywhere. And so my advice to my vendors still would have been, take the property to auction, because it could end up
And
anywhere.
in reality, Super Balls offered 1.8, signed contract, check, 66W, no cooling off period. What would have that owner done?
So the owner's instruction for Hawkesbury Avenue DY was take the property to auction. Without going into great detail, that was the instruction. And given the level of buyers that I had coming through, guys, we didn't take offers prior to the auction either, because the last thing I wanted to do with a property like that, with the numbers that we were getting through, and as I said, bear in mind, not every person wanted the property. A lot of people were saying stairs no good, internals needs too much work, no good, don't like the outlook, no good. For that kind of money, I would like a view. But that, again, I had a decent enough level of interest that the property needed to go to auction. We didn't know where it was going to end up. Was anyone expecting a 3-bedroom apartment in DY was going to sell for $570,000 above reserve?
No, but you've got an offer of
Absolutely not.
1.8. What would the owner have done? Answer the question, Lisa Novak.
Again, Mark, there was a decent level of interest there in that apartment. My recommendation still would have been, we have to take it to auction.
I'm saying the owner.
I don't know what the owner would have done.
Do you reckon he would have taken it?
Look, I believe.
You're saying the owner. No. Look, I think we should.
No,
go to
I
the auction.
believe
I
that-
get that, but
I
what's
believe-
the owner? Would that owner have said, do a deal?
Unlikely. Unlikely. The owner was representing an elderly mother. All right. So,
Even a 1.8.
yeah,
So, by the way, guys,
highly
it sold for
unlikely.
192.
Highly unlikely. We weren't taking offers prior to auction anyway.
Here's my tip. What I'm suggesting is if you do think that it is a property that's particularly good for you, and you do have to go out on a limb, you are fighting your conscience. You are fighting. A bubble comes up. You are fighting your conscience on, am I paying too much? I get that.
Yep.
So you've got to be pretty ballsy. And then you've got to put it on paper and submit it to the agent. And here's my point. The agent may be saying to the owner, let's go to the auction. This is going to be great. The agent may be saying, look, you should sell this. It's a huge price. But there is no science. All you can do is present your offer as best as you can.
Agreed.
And depending on the personality and sentiment and the situation of the owner is how they're going to react. But the answer is always no unless you ask. And that is how you
100%.
ask. So I'm surprised that out of 18 bidders that no one put it on a contract.
Well, no one did.
It's a free.
We weren't inviting it, but no one did.
Doesn't matter.
No
Even
one
if
did.
the
I
agent,
agree.
even if the agent
As were we.
says, you know, we're going to auction. It is a free hit.
As were we, Mark.
And not only that, but you've already done all the paperwork. You've already got your check ready. You've already checked the contract.
Yep.
You've already done the strata search. I'm shocked that more people don't put it in writing and slide it under
Guys,
the vendor's
Guys, are you
nose.
hearing this?
Are you
Because
hearing it?
this is a massive,
Can you hear
massive
this?
tip. Can you hear this? Okay, so let's have a look at another property that I sold yesterday. A really good one better in Burke Street, Surrey Hills.
Yes.
Now, we were guiding during the campaign 820,000.
Yes.
I was getting massive group numbers coming through. What was unique about this? It was a really nice one-bedroom apartment in a great part of Surrey Hills.
There you go, kids.
And what was unique about this property was that it had parking. That's significant in the Surrey Hills area. And the parking was probably worth an estimated $100,000. Now, an oversized one-bedroom apartment, we were just sitting under 80 metres squared. That was an auction campaign, and it was due to go to auction.
Was that 80 metres squared with the garret, with the parking?
Inclusive, yeah. And so this
Cool.
one was due to go to auction
Jim.
on the 9th of May next week. Again, I was having really good buyer numbers coming through the property.
I love how you put the photo of the parking. I think that's cool.
Really cool parking. And next to it had motorbike parking that was common property though. But I like these car spaces that are up against walls there.
And look, it had an ensuite bathroom as well. So
Yeah.
I'm always a bit of a fan when it doesn't have an ensuite.
Yeah. So guys, Wednesday I had a buyer come through for a third inspection. He said with the vendor, look to do a deal prior to auction. I said, look, you're most welcome to put in a good, strong offer, and I'm happy to take it to the vendor and get some instructions. So he put in as his first offer a whopper of an offer.
Super balls.
So guiding 820, and again, I didn't have 50 people lining up down the street with offers at 820. So was the guide too cheap? You know what? We were looking around at other properties that had sold in the area, and the comparables were spot on. But we ended up selling that one for $960,000. He took it off the market prior to auction. He put forward a good, strong offer, good strong terms, signed contract, 10% deposit check, and and kept things very, very straightforward.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you buy a property before auction. We're giving you two examples where people have had a good, or can or should have a good hack. The first example, no one out of that many people, I'm surprised no one did. Went, there's my contract, there's my check.
No one did.
It's a free hit, guys. Try it.
And look, the thing is, even if an agent says, I'm so sorry, but we are not taking offers prior to auction. I mean, I have had many vendors in the past say, I don't want offers prior to auction. That's the vendor's instruction. But if a buyer was to present us with an offer, we have to, by law, disclose that offer to the vendor. By law. I just want to give another tip. this is a real sneaky one, guys.
Mhm.
If you have reservations about whether or not your offer has made its way to the vendor, you can go to the vendor's solicitor.
First of all, put it in writing
Put it in writing, number
to
one.
the agent.
Correct. You can CC in the vendor's solicitor as well. The vendor's solicitor's details are on the front page of every contract of sale.
Why would you do that, Lisa?
Because then you are 100% guaranteed that your offer has made its way to the vendor.
Yeah. So
All right.
if you
So
don't know,
there has been times when I have had a client contact me and they have asked me to help them to negotiate on a property that just wasn't mine. I wasn't the listing agent, but they had reservations that their offer actually made its way to the vendor,
talk is cheap.
and it had not.
Talk is cheap. So it's statutory law that agents must submit your Christian name, your surname in writing to the vendor when you have made an offer verbally or in writing.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if you put it in writing to the agent and to the lawyer, you are really, really, really solidly putting your offer in.
Correct.
Undisputedly. So you can't, it's a good qualified offer when you've done that.
So guys, I just want to wrap up on what we're suggesting today. Can you buy a property prior to auction? You have every possibility if you put in a really, really good, strong offer. Probably one of the worst things you could do is put in an offer around the guide if you are trying to take a property off the market prior to auction, because all you're going to do is probably force the hand of the agent to take the property to auction. These are just my suggestions, and likely you are going to have a lot of competition at that level. All right, so a good strong offer, good strong terms, the good old fashioned filling out your offer on a signed contract and walking it into an agent's office with a check, all right, or with the option of transferring funds and what's called a Section 66W.
But I do have to say, guys and girls,
Good
you're
strong
going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to have the luxury of looking around a room and knowing what everyone else is willing to pay.
Yeah,
And before you make your decision, you're going to be out on a ledge. You're going to be by yourself. You're going to be uncomfortable. And after you bought it, you're going to think, have I paid too much? But that's life. What's Chris got to say?
Hey, Chris, hope you're well. What if it's an off-market listing and the agent won't provide a contract of sale? No. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. Okay, so
Yeah.
guys, two things we must have: off-market, on-market, pre-market, one buyer, 100 buyers, same rules apply. An agent must hold a signed agency agreement. An agent must hold a contract of
so people know
sale.
what that is. That's an owner signing a New South Wales accredited document that they have an agreement with the agent to represent their property in any capacity, whether off market or on market.
Correct.
Number
Must
one.
by law.
And number
Even
two, they must have,
contract of sale. By law. So,
which is for the property.
they must be able to provide that to you.
Yeah.
Likely if the agent is not providing you with a contract of sale, I would suspect that they just don't have one, and that is against the law.
They're going to the wall.
Yeah, that is against the law. So, yeah, that's big alarm bells should be ringing there, Chris.
Yep.
They certainly should.
Yeah.
Guys, the other things I just want to point
You
out
got
as
so
well.
much to say today, Lise.
I know. Usually I'm quiet,
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
Friday.
Usually I get to talk half.
Have you got anything else to say?
No, I'm happy that you're happy.
So always have on your side a really good broker. Always have on your side a really good conveyancer or solicitor, and have some nice open dialogue with the real estate agent. It really does help.
Helps. Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Don't burn the agent.
Don't burn the agent.
No.
Definitely don't burn the agent. So, again, we must act in the best interests of our vendors. But, a great agent will absolutely guide you through the process. But having a conveyancer or solicitor that'll work for you around the clock, particularly on a Saturday, if you are going to auction, and a broker, is everything.
Super luxury. If you've got those people on tap, that is so much, makes life so much easier.
Yep.
You're not out on a limb. Do you have anything else to say, Lise?
Can I just talk quickly about the market?
Sure. We've got plenty of time. It's a 15-minute show.
So, guys, I do want to say that we are seeing an oversupply of buyers in the market at the moment.
Weird.
When comparing to how much stock is on the market.
Weird. Put the rates up, more buyers there. Weird.
Yeah. I think buyers got used to interest rates. Buyers feel comfortable knowing that interest rates are likely going to come to a grinding halt. We might see one more interest rate rise. Buyers understand that interest rates will probably start to come off toward the end of the year, early next year, which likely means property prices will go up. Rents are high and stock levels are low. And this is why we are seeing an extraordinary amount of buyers in the market at the moment. It's been a very, very busy week of sales.
Michael.
Who are you calling?
Hey, good mate. We're just doing morning minutes, but Lisa's talking most of the time, so I just thought I'd take the call.
Hey, listen, I'm going to get that door changed. It won't be too much of an issue. That won't get done today, but it will get done.
Oh, thanks, mate. All right.
All right, buddy.
Thanks heaps, buddy. Cheers,
Hi,
mate.
Michael.
Michael's building our
Bye.
studio in the office. Thanks, mate. Cheers, bye.
All right, I'm going to go now. That's enough.
What were you saying? Sorry.
I can't believe this. You know what? I'll tell you what. Next Friday, don't come along. I'll just run it myself.
You're fine. Just keep going, Lisa. I'm fine. You've got this. Everyone's happily listening.
All right,
to
guys.
You.
That's all right.
No one's really wants to listen to me anyway.
21 minutes.
Hey, just out of interest, I'll just put my thing over my head because when you're talking about stock Northern Beaches, 548 properties, that was up towards sort of 700. So there's about 20.
What are we sitting at now?
548.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was about 15% less amount of properties out there. That's a huge number.
Oh my God.
That's of lower stock.
That's the lowest it's been in a really. I haven't seen it that low.
So scarcity is always going to help price increases or price preservation, just staying where it is.
Crazy. All right, that's enough. Mark had his 1 minute. All right, guys, we're out of here. Have a great day, everyone.
What are you doing today, Lise?
I am waiting on a contract of sale to come in on a phenomenal property that is going to be exceptionally off market. It's probably one of the best houses I've ever seen on the Northern Beaches. I will be sitting at my desk making an abundance of phone calls.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great day. Love ya. See ya. And bye-bye.